The jig is up because we just talked to him at the end of the last segment, but a Pro Bowl left tackle. And one half of the podcast, Bussin' with the Boys. Please hello to the man whose stash rivals, I don't even know, only Arthur Smith potentially?
Hey, Arthur Smith's stash. And I don't know if we talked about this in the last show, but I do take a little bit of credit for that. Early in camp, he sent me a little picture of that duster when it was kind of like in its newborn phase. It was slowly coming out. And I just told him, hey, brother, that thing looks fantastic. Keep it going.
Okay.
Keep it going. So it looks great on Arthur. A big win for them, too, against the Packers as well.
Man, I don't know I love that little exchange. The Chia Pet really grew over the past couple of weeks. It's incredible. Yeah. Okay, let's start with the tweet. Okay, here it is. You said it yesterday. You're coming on the show. I want to give you the floor to talk about the Cowboys.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess, as a player, and you play for a team in a small media market like the Titans, you look at teams like the Cowboys, and there's a level of envy there. It's like, man, we're doing good over here too. 2019, we go to the AFC Championship. What have the Cowboys done for so long? And then they go out, and then they dust the Giants the way they do in Week 1, and then they play a great Jets defense yesterday, and obviously Aaron Rodgers isn't in. There's going to be a whole lot of, asterisk. People always talk about the asterisk in football, but the team looks so solid. The defense looks incredible. Micah Parsons, I watch him, and it's hard to even think about another player that rivals that. Obviously Aaron Donald, and then J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett. Like, when J.J. was in his prime is like the closest thing I see to Micah Parsons. The guy is truly an alien right now. And I just feel grateful that I didn't have to play against him because the guy looks like an absolute stud. And on the other side of the ball, Dak seems like he has it together. Guy goes under anesthesia, has 15 people work on his leg tattoo, and all of a sudden he's slicing and dicing people left and right. It's just like the team has that power. They have it. They really do have whatever it is. They've got it. And it only took me 2 weeks to figure it out. I went from trashing to now I'm on the bandwagon a little bit with the Cowboys.
Stash man, who in the NFC is playing better than them?
49ers, maybe. I mean, the Niners are playing some good football out there. And then they have a Thursday night game this week against the Giants where, is Saquon Barkley going to play? Is he going to play Saquon Barkley after a big comeback against the Cardinals? I think, San Francisco walking in this thing 3-0, and that's kind of between those two teams. It really is. I mean, Seattle's got a great team. The Lions didn't win. Obviously, they lost in overtime, but that's a good ball club there too. And so, it's really those two teams in the NFC in my mind. And then there's everybody else.
So let's hop over to the AFC where we had strong performances, of course, from the Dolphins, from the Ravens. There's teams looking good. Josh Allen sort of getting a nice bounce back. We love to see it. But the Chiefs got their first win of the season. They played the Jags. We're talking about overreaction. 3 turnovers, 12 penalties. Mahomes, very vocal about the team's performance. There's no reason to overreact right now. But what is the thing about the Chiefs that's concerning to you right now?
Honestly, there's nothing concerning about the Chiefs to me. It is one of those things where we see greatness all the time. And, it happens with LeBron James. It probably happened with Michael Jordan. I was too young at the time to understand that. But when you watch somebody be great for so long, it just becomes so normal to you that it's just whatever. Patrick Mahomes is going to be fine. That team is going to be fine. Travis Kelce coming back. They need to help out their tackles a little bit more, I think, when it comes to the penalties, the holdings. I know I don't want to, put down any tackles because that's a hard thing to be out there on an island and do that. But there's a couple times I saw them yesterday get into a bit of position. They're going to be fine. I think they still are going to control the AFC West. But man, it is easy to look at it and be like, oh man, this team might be blah, blah, blah. They might not be able to become, 3-peat or whatever, 15 Super Bowls or all that. It's like, let's just calm down. We're in week 3. I think those guys have they're going to be in the playoffs, and they're going to obviously be able to win another Super Bowl this year.
Last week, I was talking to Andrew Whitworth about Juwan Taylor, and he was like, it's all good. He got away with it. He was lining up too deep. He was leaving early or smiling. He was not getting flagged. He got 5 flags yesterday. Okay,
the
dude got benched for a series. So the officials obviously making it a point of emphasis. What'd you make of that?
It goes kind of back to I didn't want to soil the boy, and shame on Witt, by the way. You got to look out for the offensive lineman out there. Shame on him. But it's one of those deals. You watch it. It's when you're leaving early. I don't see any problem with leaving early because if I could say don't leave early, you could pull up any of my film. I'm the first one off the ball every single time, and that is something you have to do. You have to time up the snap and rip it. But the shaking the leg during motions, like that's obviously a penalty right there. And then 5 penalties yesterday. getting benched a little bit. There's just got to be right now. It's up to the Chiefs coaching staff. It's up to Andy Reid and the rest of those guys to now throw a couple chips in there, help them understand, hey, when a chip is coming, you don't have to fly up out of there. You can kind of be a little more patient with your set because you know that speed rusher on the edge is not going to be there, and work that confidence back in. Because being a guy that's had a couple bad games, we all have bad games when you play in the NFL. That confidence is when that goes, it's very hard to get back, and you need sometimes those coaches to help you out a little bit. And you help Taylor out a little bit. I think he's going to be all right. But yeah, it's hard. Shame on Witt.
You know
I'm
what,
going to have to text him.
You're saying it's up to the coaches, and like, this is bad on the refs to me. How do you let him, they let him do it for so long and then totally change the way they enforced it to expect him? I just don't like that. I think the refs deserve some blame here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you, Kate. The refs always deserve a little bit of blame. They need to stay out of it as much as possible. But you can't, if you're doing something wrong and you're getting away with it, that's fine. But if you're doing something wrong and everyone's talking about it, eventually they're going to have to switch it up on you. And I think that's what we saw happen yesterday. Because you watch that Thursday night game with the Lions, and it's like you see it over and over again. As an offensive lineman, I'm sitting there like, oh, woof, dude, you got to figure that out before they start getting you. And sure enough, they go to get him this week.
Everyone's saying Cowboys are scary until the playoffs. Cowboys' next 2 games, Cardinals, Patriots, 4-0 for sure. So we'll see about those Cowboys. I want to ask you about a team that you know better than anybody. It's your Tennessee Titans, okay? They got a much-needed win over the Chargers. They snapped an 8-game losing streak. Sounds like they needed you out there. I'm just saying, Ryan Tannehill, very solid, bouncing back from a very rough week 1. So the chatter around Tannehill got kind of loud last week. What does this win mean for your Titans?
I think Titans are going to tighten, man. I think anytime the best thing to happen to the Titans is them being underdogs. If you say the Titans aren't going to win, they're going to be outgunned, this offense is going to go crazy, the defense is going to stop Derrick Henry, that's when all of a sudden the Titans are going to turn around and win the game. And I think the NFL actually tweeted something about that yesterday. Like, since 2018, no one's had more underdog wins than Mike Vrabel. And that just shows the type of coaching. I want to give a quick shout out to Tim Kelly, though, because I think, week 1 against the Saints, they had a tough time getting the ball moving, get it going. Yeah, Tannehill looked like he was seeing ghosts out there, left, right, and center with 3 picks. You can say it. You can say it now because he had a great game yesterday. But even when they're in the red zone and he has the read option, or he reads the end at the end of line of scrimmage, and then he pulls it and he's got Derrick Henry out wide for the pitch just in case he ends up running it in. That's the kind of play calling, the kind of ingenuity that Tim Kelly is bringing to the table that he did at Houston with Deshaun Watson. I think that guy is a future head coach. I think he's an absolute stud. I did play with his brother, and I just think the Kelly family, they're all time, man. They're all time, and he's going to get them going where they need to go.
I love the shout out there on the Chargers side of things, and people in our chat loving you, by the way, loving Taylor Lewan, saying, how bad is the Chargers defense? It's the real issue. Now, I have a stat that I saw this morning, because they lose again, devastating fashion. I support them. But listen to this, Taylor. They're the 33rd team in the Super Bowl era with over 50 points and 0 turnovers through 2 games. They are the only team to start 0-2, okay, in that situation. Brandon Staley taking a lot of criticism. The defense taking a lot of criticism. What is the problem, the biggest hang-up with this Chargers squad?
Yeah, I could sit here and I could be like, this is the issue and this is what you got to fix. It's so hard to say because there's so much talent, right? Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, like they've got dudes on defense. So it's so appalling to me why the stats don't reflect the talent. And I think, I wish I could just sit there and give you an answer because that's why I'm on this show, is to give you opinions and people react and then we get clicks and that's the game we play. But to be honest with you, I just do not know why the Chargers are having that type of struggle. But once again, here we are, week 3, going into week 3 of the NFL season. It's like no reason to overreact if you're a Chargers fan. You're in a really tough division, the AFC West, but you have an absolute gunslinger at quarterback. You might have to score more points. It's a team sport. There's 3 phases of the game. So, I might have to bring in Will Compton one of these days to talk about defense because I don't know what they need to do better on.
Do you think there's legitimacy to the coaching stuff? Because people, and are they in such a window where they're so talented, like you're saying, putting up so many points that, would you put it past them to look at making a change in season? Would that be crazy?
A coaching staff? You look at any coach, you look at any team, this league is waiting for nobody. It's either results or you're out. So I mean, am I going to say they're going to go for a coach's job? That'd be ridiculous and inappropriate for me to even talk about. But in this league, if you don't have results, you get cut. I've been cut. Everybody who's played in the NFL, except for like, one or two, aliens, you get cut and you end up not being able to do it. Same thing goes with coaching. If you just can't get your boys to play, you're gonna get let go. I think 2 weeks in the NFL season is no time to be freaking out. We start going 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, or 0-5. Then it's like, oh man, now we need to talk about something. We need to look at everything. Get the crystal ball, get the Ouija board out, like start looking at start the spirits and figure that whole deal.
It's really well said. I thought I always think like they're so aggressive, and I thought that the aggressiveness wasn't there, and it was almost like they were content kicking the field goal to go into overtime.
Yeah.
I, as a fan, hated seeing that, and I just feel like some of the timeouts, the management of those, wasn't my favorite. So hopefully they can get right. It's early. We're not overreacting on a Monday. I do want to ask you about the turf, though, because before we move past this game, it was the Titans' first game on their new field, which has been changed weirdly, from grass to turf. So in the midst of this debate and all of these players coming and talking about how turf fields should be no more, where do you come out on this situation?
It's so hard to say because, it's an interesting thought process because when you're in high school, like if you go all the way back to high school ball, like you go play a high school with turf field, you're like, yo, this is awesome. They got money. This is sick. And then you get to college. I played at University of Michigan where it's a turf field, and I never had an issue on that at all. Then you get to the NFL, you get a little older, right? Your joints start hurting. You start to realize the massive differences between being on turf one day and being on grass the next. And, as even 2-3 years in the league, it would start to rain outside, and you can see the older vets kind of grumbling about, man, I don't want to go in the turf. I don't want to go indoors. And you kind of think, man, what are they all worried about? And then as you get older, you start to realize like they are absolutely right in what they're saying is when you play on turf the next day, whether you're injured or not, you feel it more in your ankles, you feel it more in your knees, you feel it more in your hips. It is definitely, it takes a greater toll on your body. Someone who's been an absolute force, the front lines of fighting for anti-turf is David Bakhtiari, and I think he's got some really good points.
Yeah.
It's really one of those things that's cut and dry. Look at the stats. If the stats say that turf is not good for players and there's more injuries on turf, non-contact injuries on turf, then what are we worried about here? If you're trying to protect your assets as owners, and I think it was like $12 million league-wide, which you break that up between 32 teams. I'm not a mathematician, but that doesn't seem like a lot of money for a bunch of billionaires. You pop that out real quick. Look what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of players that are much more healthy, better product on the field, which in turn gets us to the game of more views, of more people watching, seeing their favorite player play. And so I think it's just something maybe you don't do right now, but in the offseason, take a real big look at. And if it makes sense, it can make sense for both sides. If the players want it and you get to keep the players in the field, it's good for the owners. Why not do it?
Yeah, the Bakhtiari thing I actually wasn't super aware of, that he was, and then LaFleur had to come out and sort of talk about it, but didn't really talk about it. So I don't know if it's like rumors, rumblings that he's not. I mean, he wasn't out there on the turf in Atlanta, but you have to take a stand when it comes to your body.
Yeah, but if you think about LaFleur saying something, not saying about it, like people need to be aware of the game within the game when it comes to the NFL. So Bakhtiari, as a player, well-spoken, very well-paid, very talented individual, goes and says, turf's bad. Then the head coach comes out, and he's now got to comment on what one of his players has said. But he's also hired by ownership. So if he says anything negative about turf, then he's making the owners look bad. And so it's like this game, this convoluted web that we're all weaved in, trying to, keep everybody happy, but at the same time not hurt anyone's feelings. And, it is one of those deals where you're not going to get your solution now in the fall. You're not going to get your solution till March, probably, when they go on those little meetings where all the owners and coaches get to go to their extravagant vacations where they spend 3 days talking about rule changes that everyone's going to get pissed about, right? Like, that's what's going to happen.
It's like the orange juice, the waffle maker, like everyone's, and then they sit down and they're like, let's talk turf. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right.
Bottomless mimosas.
Families at the pool.
Kickoff this year. Yeah.
Lanyards.
No more cutting for offensive linemen. They're laughing in the corner. It's just, it is what it turns into.
It's so true. It's so true, but we love it. We love being part of the convoluted web that is the NFL. All right, let's get through a couple more here. I know you have a heart out here. I want to ask you one more. Do you want to talk? What would you rather talk about, Bears, or would you rather talk about? We're going to talk about the Bears because hold on. This is the one thing we need to talk about. Justin Fields adds to an incredible list here. Ohio State alum are 0-6 so far this NFL season. Fields, Burrow, Stroud, all 0-2.
Yeah, first off, let's just talk about Burrow real quick. Let's take him completely out of the Ohio State game. That's done. We're I can't
Okay,
stand
fine.
that Ohio State fans are like, that's our guy, right? That's our guy. It's like, no. He transferred. He won a national championship at LSU. Let's move on. And
Fair.
I was hoping we stay away from the Bears because I wanted to keep it positive today. But man, the weird like optimism of Bear fans going into this season and having the number 1 overall pick, it's tough. Like I saw a clip on Twitter. I don't know if this is real. This literally could have been AI generated of like, it was side by side. It was Kirk Cousins talking about him throwing a ball. And if he just would have led Justin Jefferson a little bit more, he would have been able to catch it in stride and score. They would have won. And then there was another clip of we were just talking about Bears court Hurts.
Yeah.
Not Hurts.
Field.
Right? Fields, excuse me. Fields saying, be like, yeah, play calling, coaching, blah, blah, blah. It's like, if that's real, we got to keep a level of accountability, brother. Like, it's a double-edged sword when you're the quarterback. When you're the quarterback, you know, when losing happens, you have to put it all on your shoulders.
But who
And
is it?
when winning happens,
I don't want the convoluted. I want the Taylor. This is 12 consecutive wins for the Bears. Losses. 12 consecutive losses. Is it Justin Fields or is it the handling of Justin Fields? Which one's the problem?
See, I see what you're doing. I don't know. It's got to be. It's not just Justin. It's not just Justin Fields because this is the greatest team sport the world has ever seen. 11 people on offense, 11 people on defense, and then special teams for about 20% of the plays. And it's everybody. If your offense isn't playing great, then it's up to your defense and your special teams to step up, and vice versa in those situations. As the quarterback, is there more pressure on you? Yeah. So Justin Fields, unfortunately, buddy, he's got to play better so they win more games. And then from a coaching standpoint, put your players in the best position possible. Use their strengths and amplify those strengths. If Fields isn't throwing it well, run it. The guy has outstanding athletic ability. Do some more RPOs. Try to influence that backside linebacker a little bit. Cut a slant across the middle. If it's there, throw it. If it's not, hand it off. If the DN pinches, then you run it around the corner. There's a whole this beautiful game of chess. It's such an amazing game. So it's never just one person. It never is. And I hate the fact that I had to give you this PC answer. But
isn't a good answer.
I came in way too hot.
No,
I came in way too hot week 1 being like, Cowboys.
I texted you. I texted my producer and I go, we kind of are asking him hard questions. Like these are kind of shit questions to ask him. I said that I'm like, and he goes, no, he's handling it really well. I'm like, I'm like turf versus like this. Like I'm asking you such crap questions. I'm like, throw your boy Bakhtiari under the bus. Tell me what's really going on. I'm so sorry for that. Yeah. But on your way out, we'll make it easy. I know we ran over time, and so I love you and appreciate you. Give me just who's winning tonight. New Orleans, Carolina?
I got New Orleans on that. I think Derek Carr is going to have a hell of a game. I think they're going to win. They're going to cover as well.
And talk to me about Browns Steelers. It's in Pittsburgh. Do the Steelers avoid going 0-2?
See, that's the biggest question of the day for me. I think Cleveland, I'm not 100% sold on them. I do have Deshaun Watson in my fantasy league, so I hope he goes off. But Mike Tomlin, that coaching staff, you want to talk about a hell of a coaching staff, a hell of a coach that puts their guys in great positions. Mike Tomlin does that. It's tough for them to go 0-2 at home. I'm going to say they go. I'm going to take the Steelers in this one, but it makes me nervous. If you're a betting person, I would put the bets down and just enjoy the game in that one.
Enjoy the game and enjoy being a Cowboys fan, at least for the next week. We've got Taylor
just
Lewan.
For next week.
Check out Bussin' with the Boys. You are the best. Thank you. Tough questions. We won't do that again.
We'll see you.
It'll be all cupcakes next time. I mean, those are some hard questions. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.